to the executive outlook. Today's guest is a data and analytics leader who has spent his career driving large-scale data transformation across some of the biggest names in the healthcare. He has built and led data organization, modernized legacy platforms, and scaled AI initiatives, all while keeping the focus on the real business. Sudhir is currently leading the data analytics organization at Triple S, part of the Guidewell Group, one of the largest Blue Cross Blue Shield organization in the country. With deep expertise in data modernization, self-service analytics, and AI at scale, Sudhir brings a perspective that is both strategic as well as hands. Sudhir, welcome to the executive.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. So look forward to the discussion this morning.
All right. So I'm very interested to know that how you came into this field of data, how you started it, and what has kept you passionate about.
Yeah, I'm always passionate about solving, business problems with technology, and that has been my passion right from my childhood days. And as the time progressed, received engineering education, and then started working on software engineering projects, and then really transitioning to more data products type work. So I had a startup stint, in early 2000 where we built a data product for largest credit card organization. And since then, I started seeing in the real value of data and how it can enable someone to make decision. So that's where I felt the power of enterprises, power of the enterprise to be, where they can provide more service to the users and as well as to their customers leveraging data. And that kept me going. So over the last 20 years. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So you have gone through hands-on work into the entire data organization. When you step it into a leadership role, what is the biggest thing that you focus on as a first step while you leading as a role of data and analytics leader?
Yeah, I think there are three key fundamental takeaways. When you are a developer, it's just about you delivering the product and also understanding how your code can really help solve a problem. But when you switch into more leadership role, it's just not about you. It's about the process, the systems, and people around you that need to be supported in order to meet a business goal. The first takeaway is like when you're rolling out a solution, it's more of like how you bring people together. What it means is that like how the process will be changing and how do you bring people to embrace the new process. There is an amount of change management that one needs to look at as we roll out new platforms or new products. Very early in my career, I had a stint of modernizing a billing platform, and the platform initiative was not well recognized from a change and perspective. So despite being more a savvy tech idea to solve the problem, it did not really take off because the organization processes and people are not fully embracing the change. That is the number one part. And the second part is also understanding the talent mix. We really have to know the strengths of the people in today's world, and even I would say going back to 20 years, like learning the problem, but also understanding the end user. Like, are you trying to engineer the core? To solve the problem. I think finding the talent who can see the end to end to solve a problem is a key, and bringing them into the problem solving. That's that's the second part. And the third part is, you always have to make decisions, tactically versus strategic. A lot of times, when you start a strategic platform, you have to take into account of how you can deliver tactically, because the organizations do make an investment in modernizing the platform, but you have to show some tactical wins to to keep the traction with the finance team as well as your direct stakeholder team. So that will keep the initiatives rolling, and they can gain confidence. So these are my three takeaways. What I realized, as I switched from a technical role to more of a leadership role.
And as a leader, what is your biggest pain point when you have a project or when the C level gives you a project? So, what is the first thought that comes in your mind?
So first thought is that, like, can we execute this, right? Like, strategically, it may sound very great idea, but a different organization might have implemented data modernization or building a great analytic capability. But the same thing you want to replicate in the current organization you're working. Can you execute this? Do you have the organizational processes, people and talent? And then what does it take to roll out the tech? Is the organization at the right trajectory to take on such a large scale initiative? So I think that is the first thing that will come to my mind after several projects and myself being a developer and being on the other side right now. This is the first thing that I would do a spot check that before I give commitment or someone asks me, can we do this? The answer is like, you have to go through this process of like, is the organization, as a right trajectory to take on this project? And the other people who can come with us to execute the project, are they fully embracing it? So if you go through these three levels, right, you would find answers. And that could lead to some planning time that need to be, put into place even before you start the project, right? So that's the first thought always come to my mind before we commit to any large scale initiatives, or even as a matter of fact, taking on any project, because the data projects are very expensive in nature. They do take longer cycle to realize the investment. So I think the big thing is like, how do you secure a tactical win, right? So this is the guiding criteria. It goes first in my mind when someone asks me.
So, do you want to share certain use cases that you have solved in your career?
Yeah. I can name few, right? Like most of my time has spent in transformation and building in a new product and services. That's where my career has been spent. Like in a good transformation use case, somebody says we want to switch from. I worked in scenarios where you have a legacy platform that's using legacy databases. Now the organization is not getting much mileage. It's taking a lot of cycle time, to realize. I worked on, modernizing to big data platform. These days I'm working on Snowflake, Databricks. This is like a large scale transformation. You're pretty much touching how the data will need to be curated. Different use cases where I worked or is also like from a customer standpoint, like how quickly you can deliver certain analytic use cases. Like there was one time we were dealing with some financial penalties. Can we use AI to the problem? This is one use case we solved, using AI to reduce the submission risk for the encounters, and this is with the CMS. The other use case, I worked on the contact center modernization, bringing AI that the end users, the customers or the callers don't have to wait for longer time to get the answers. And also like I've driven some self-service type analytics. It has got its landmark health where I enable the self-service analytics, bringing a mix of data platforms, data governance culture, and also enabling the tools in the hands of users. It's just a spectrum of use cases I've worked because of my long time in this field, or 20 years.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing. You mentioned you're currently working in a Snowflake's modernization project for healthcare industry. What does data modernization actually mean, and where do the most companies get it wrong?
Companies get dropped, or okay.
Like where they think that okay, we want to modernize, but they drop the plan in between,
Yeah.
or takes longer than the implementation. So
So currently, we're doing a huge data modernization exercise, moving to the Snowflake. I think few trigger points why somebody should think about modernization. So either the first thing is like your cycle time to provide the data to the end user. That would include like how well the tools that are supporting to enable the delivery of the data to the end user. Is it taking longer time? Are you spending more money in running some projects? That is number one. And number two, over the time, this legacy databases like SQL Server and Oracle and etc. Right? There's always a scaling cost. The business scales, like how much of the maintenance, the licensing costs that we're gonna incur, and are they really suited, for today's modern business world, right? Where you're thinking about AI, can they really scale? Because the crux of this is the data as a foundation layer, right? That is the second one, and the third one is also like around like, is the data giving enough confidence to use the platform, for end user? And the fourth one is also like, what other tools you have to bring? Like if you really talk about the the AI and self-service analytics, we have to bring into a mix of tools like, data cataloging tools, data governance like culture and tools. Can you manage this process better, right? So if you go to these spectrums, like what is the operating model? Like, are you incurring more resource costs just to support the current platform? If you go to this, you will see a need for the modernization. Like I modernized the platform in two different organizations, from start to finish. And also, I was in an organization where we ended up modernizing the platform. It didn't turn out to be a good a business realization exercise. So, if I were to compare, and this happened, in early part of my career. So, and if I were to compare these two examples, what I would say where the organizations would follow is because number one, there's a big ticket item. Right? You're looking at more than about 12 to 18 months of an exercise. The organization has to hold the investment, and then it's a lot of capex sort of expense, and now we have to show the value, and that is where and the second thing is because as the organizations as they scale and they grow their business, you start seeing different silos, understanding the foundation, understanding the business and what kind of data platform you want to build, and this would include the data models and the ETL processes, how you want to build. And I think that is where I would see there's a lot of pain point that would come if that is not understood. You're not building data models to solve a technical problem. You're building data models to solve a business problem. It's understanding the business and how you model it and how you curate the data. That's the second part. Because with the advance in technology, the consumption is the key part, right? How quickly you can deliver this to the end user, right? So that is where I would say if it doesn't get into the right place, you tend to cycle more and more, right? That's number one. And number two, like finding some early use cases where you can secure wins. So you take like more than 1 year or 15 months just to build like certain basic things in the platform, and then you want to put this in hands to the users. You already started putting dollars, right? So find some quick tactical wins. The third one is also like establishing some kind of a partnerships. If the organization doesn't have a talent to take on a new platform, then what sort of partnership you want to have with external vendors who are specialized in this, then look for like build and buy type partnership, and slowly get to this build, operate and transform. You have to see that rhythm. So those three things, what I would see, if this is not going through a particular process, a framework the organizations tend to follow. And I would say the first example, the example where we have not seen much business value is because we took 2 years to build, and then we started asking the end users. Then the customer and the end user requirements have changed. So what we have built to function is not necessarily what they're looking because of the duration of the time. I think that's what the engagement of the analytic users and how they would use the platform, how it benefits much earlier is a key process. I think these are some things if it's not done, the organization, tend to fall off.
Amazing. With the modernization, you mentioned that we can reduce the cost. Is it the actual scenario? Because these are cloud platforms. And what is your take? Because I have also seen such scenarios where the cost rises up instantly as we have
Right.
started using the platform. So how to make sure that we are under control and we are monitoring the cost licenses
Yeah.
when we are doing migration into the
Right. I
modernization?
think when I say the cost is high, is like once it gets into the operating mode, where we would see the costs are going to go up because you won't add more data or you want to expand the business. Then start looking at your infrastructure. And that's where the cost component will come. The other hidden cost is the actual resource cost, right? The number of resources whom you need to pull to support a multi-sequencer environment or on-prem environment. So you start counting all those things. This hidden cost will also start surfacing up. You have 10 people team versus you want to manage with 3 people team or a 4 people team. Then you have the saving in the soft cost. So that is hidden part. And if you really get into those basics, you start seeing like how the cost is managed. Now you switch to the modern world. It has become simple with the cloud coming into the play, and look at Snowflake or data. You can really see how much you've spent just from the infrastructure element. And then you can meet up the cost. You can decide how you want to store the data. The most frequently used data can be put onto some kind of a premium level disk, and others can go to a different variety of this. You have the different options to manage the cost depending on what your business needs, but also the simplicity of looking at the platforms, how they're coming on cloud is like you have different frameworks coming onto one platform, to build the engineering pipelines, as opposed to earlier, like you have to have like frameworks coming, the different frameworks, they had to be put into different places and they all had to be integrated. So now
Mm.
that integration complexity is reduced, now you're looking in Snowflake environment or Databricks, you can plug in, some of the Microsoft data factory tools or different ETL factory tools, right? If you plug them, it's all happening at one place. Then your resource and support costs are obviously going to come down. So then you
Mm.
can look at differently. So it's not like, you're going to see like the cost going to come down. It just becomes manageable over the time. It gives options to scale up.
Absolutely. So that's a very great point you have mentioned. That hidden cost we don't see, but when
Yeah.
we see it on the cloud platforms, actually it is lower than.
Yeah. We have to look at the holistically, the overall hidden cost, like I think the people support cost, like, like my earlier job, whereas at Empirics, where we were dealing with a lot of files coming from
Yeah.
different, self-insured customers. There are a lot of challenges with the data. And even though you have a platform like Databricks, but not necessarily, the process is well governed and managed, because the platforms can only take you to the certain level. But then the
Mm.
platform also provides ability to see where you have issues in the pipeline, right? I mean, are you really dealing with a messy data? Is it like, garbage? And you have
Mm.
some tools and utilities that are coming into one place where you can see, get some visibility into the process. And this visibility will really help
Mm.
to improve the efficiency of the process. And same thing I saw earlier, I created more of a data repository integrated with different health plans, HIEs. And this, anytime we have a messy data, it has a direct implication, on the patient risk levels, which means, we cannot engage a patient for care. This
Mm.
company providing, service at home. So we need to understand, is this the right patient for whom the service will need to be provided? If not, like what other care options we have? We are specialized only in home-based critical care, but you need to get the data, do a right quality check and run analytical models, and then find the risk and then call the doctor. Okay, this person really needs the care. Right. So I think
Mm.
that if you have messy data, you can see the real impact of the businesses. This soft and hidden costs are not something people really look at it, but
Mm.
having these tools in one place really makes your job easier. But then the tools are there, but again, you have to really put these tools into use.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you have also worked with the self-service analytics
Yeah.
enablement.
Correct.
This is actually something every organization wants.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
how to get it done?
Yeah. In my mind, there are four foundational blocks. Number one is we need to have a good data, foundation. What it means is that catalog the data and
Mm.
then make it more of like a self-awareness tool for the end user. They can go to this data catalog and get a meaning of
Mhm.
the business supposed to be or any other data item. This really requires the support of the data governance. They need to have the data governance, the model in place. You know, look at the different data domains, find the data owners and stewards, and they are the one who should be defining the data catalog. That's the step one in the foundation. And the step two is like we had to really think more like a shopping option. Like you go to
Mm.
a retail shop and you are scanning different products, right? As a somebody who's not who hasn't seen the store or who's in the store, but the store is always introducing product, but they make it easier for you looking at the
Mm.
product. Likewise, you have to create some a retail sort of concept here where you could have different, data topics. This data topics, this like, you want to see your number of customers who got, end of this month or this customers active. You create some
Mm.
data topics that are of common interest. Then you publish the glossary around this. So that is the second part.
Mm.
So the third part is like, giving some tools. Like these days, like you get called, by your C-suite. They want to understand the key business KPIs. You should be able to turn this around in a day or two, or week or 2 weeks, right? So in that case, like you don't have tools like powerful tools like data visualization tools, the Click or Tableau or equivalent of that, where the end user knowing the some kind of data topics, knowing the data glossary, understanding of the data glossary. This is mean the KPI is the number of members, team members at the end of the month. They get the understanding of that, what it means. Now they look at the topic. Now they just focus on building the actual presentation, to the C-suite. So they can put these tools in hands of them. They have this tool on their left side, looking at the catalog. Okay, now I can go build a report. This a fancy data visualization tools where I can build some charts. And further extend to it, you can make the end user experience much simpler by just typing, like Google Quick, and that will trigger how to connect different data topics or different tables to quickly pull up a dashboard. So different varieties of this. But the end user experience can be simplified, right, by having tools depending upon the investment appetite. You get start with some basic tools, but having the data catalog is a primary foundation. Third thing is this will just set the stage. But if you get into some business units, you see a lot of data, data people who are dangerous in technology, but they're more focused on business. So you can enable like some tools where they can bring data or they can create a data topic, and then this will eliminate the need for a tech team. That's the number three. And the last one is more about like having the community sharing. When the left doesn't talk to, and they end up seeing more duplicate reports coming or the duplicate KPIs being generated, that creates a lot of confusion, which is why the catalog is the start of the foundation. So I've successfully implemented, became a story with Colibra, like how we used Colibra as a tool to build the foundation. And that eventually led to some, self-service analytics. These four have to be done. We can have different levers depending on the maturity of the organizations, having data governance, stewardship model, and establishing the business glossary and data catalog. And two is the tools, like for the end user experience. And also the data engineering, you can see AI people sitting in business, they're good savvy data engineers. They can also do that. I think it's a sort of mix.
What is your take on AI, Sudhir?
Yeah.
What do you think how AI will gonna shape the business as it is here?
No, AI is, yeah, AI is definitely a role to play, definitely a significant role to play in any business. I think the like in last about 8-9 years, I've used ML algorithms and AI systems around it because there is a business case for such things, like avoiding financial penalties or finding who is a risky patient. Can we take care of this patient, and how proactively we can manage the care? Or from an operations standpoint, if you look at the call waiting time, you reduce the time, from 8 minutes to 2 minutes as an example. So increases satisfaction, but from an organization standpoint, they're making their process efficient. If they add more business, they can scale linearly. So there is, and also from a software programming standpoint, I believe it is not a replacement of a programmer. It is a complementary tool for the programmer. Like I myself did some hands-on over the last 3-4 months to really see what it means. Like, can I just build a business requirements, just sort of a strategy tool. It just gives a framework, but the tool doesn't really understand the business scenario you're in, right? You still have to wear that business hat and make some tweaks. In other words, it's more of a productivity tool that will help you to get the job done. And request for a programmer, you can generally prompt something and ask the chat tool to provide something. But again, you still have to tweak the program. In my mind, it's depends on the area. Like if you look at for software community, it's more of a productivity tool. It's not a complete replacement. But if you go to the operations side of the world, it's an efficiency factor. Make it efficient, and the business flows can you scale linearly. But from a revenue standpoint, can you find more opportunities, right? So I think AI will be I think more and more businesses will make AI just part of their normal a way of doing things, going forward. At least in US, what I'm seeing, a lot of companies are investing in AI literacy programs, meaning that whether you're a tech person or a business person, they want the organizational resources to be more AI literate.
I think I really want to ask you more questions, but I'm loving the conversation, but we are at time. So I think that is all I wanted to ask. But the insights which you have shared is amazing. I think this is one of the best podcasts I have because the answers were very clear, very like to the point. This should be done. This should not be done. And I think a lot of people will gonna learn from this
Sure, sure.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And
Yeah, thank you.